Psyche, psyche in me, the psyche in me.
All right, everyone.
I hope everybody's had a great start to your week
Yeah.
and had an awesome day thus far. And we just want to say welcome back to the Psyche in Me podcast. We just thank you so much for joining us here on, Psyche in Me. We're here where, in this community, we make sure that healing meets honesty, faith meets real life, and
Mm-hmm.
transformation starts from the what? Inside out. I am your host tonight, Brenda Hampton.
Yep. And I'm your co-host here is Brittany Hampton. So we're so glad that you all are here with us today for this conversation because whew,
Woo!
it's personal, right?
Yeah.
It's powerful and probably literally something that every single listener has faced at some point.
Yep. Hey, Wendy.
I was just about to say I'm gonna give some shout outs so I can
Yeah.
see. Hi, Marcelia Vieira.
Ghost of John.
Ghost of Dawn, hi. Thanks for joining. And y'all just shout out y'all on there. I know some don't like to say when they're on there, but thanks for watching. But if you don't
Yeah.
mind, you can also, because sometimes I do miss it, because we get so caught up in talking, or I'm looking
Yeah.
at her listening,
Yeah.
getting
think I
stuff for myself
seen
too. So
Missionary Ruby, Mama Ruby.
okay, hey Mama Ruby.
I think I seen her picture come up. Um, but good evening. We're going to go ahead and get started because we want to make sure we
Yeah.
have enough time and um, be able to cover what we need to cover. So we decided tonight that we're going to take it a little differently. This is Transparent Tuesday,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been doing it, the same way for a while. And the Lord has just spoke to Brittany and gave her even a greater depth insight to where we want to go. So, as you start something, it's always evolving, always, growing, getting better. And the one thing we want to make sure with the Psyche and Me community is that we hit real life issues. And we feel like we've been doing that. But if we can just be honest, there are some real life situations happening that we need to start
Yeah.
addressing. And we feel like together collectively that we need to do a better job with the live to talk about what's really going on. So this is a topic that we both felt dear and near to our hearts. And like Brittany
Mm-hmm.
said, it should be something we all have dealt with and or faced, or know somebody who's faced it, right? And that is um, being overqualified, underqualified, and
Mm-hmm.
even disqualified, right? So I know some of us can relate to that, like in careers, in relationships, in ministry, in the
Mm-hmm.
benefit system, in leadership space, and just life in general, y'all. If we can be real, you hear that, oh, you're overqualified, or you're underqualified, or you're just disqualified, right? We
Mm-hmm.
hear that a lot. So we want to talk about that real life because that can sting sometimes if we just want to tell the truth. And I've been in that situation, so I know it can sting to hear somebody tell you that in various arenas of life. So that's what we want to talk about tonight. Again, being overqualified, underqualified, and just disqualified, regardless of whether it's careers, relationships, benefit systems, leadership, or in the ministry, or in leadership spaces, or just life in general. We have heard those words spoken to us and or a loved one.
Yep, yep. And so those moments, like you said, when people say, "Oh, you're too much," right? Or again, you're not enough, or worse, like you don't even belong here anymore,
Right.
right? That's where that can be hurtful too,
Oh
as
yes.
well,
Oh
when
yes.
it comes with that.
Yes. And so we're here to take the truth and we're gonna unpack it. We're gonna unpack it this evening. because it needs to be dealt with. And a lot of times we don't like to talk about the things that really do affect us. We like to cover up. And I come from the spiritual realm. We'll sit and act like everything's great. And everybody say, how you doing? Oh, I'm blessed and highly favored. What does that mean? What does that really mean when you say that? Because it is okay for you not to be okay sometimes. I just want y'all to know that. We don't have to walk around acting like we got everything together and everything is great all the time, because that's not realistic. Well, anyway, in my world, I don't know about your world, but in my world, that's not realistic. Sometimes I'm not okay. All right. I'm just pushing through. But we want to talk about that a little bit, because I think we need to learn to unpack that suitcase that got us so heavily weighed down. So just want to, talk about that just a little bit tonight. Unpack it, and let's see, what that means for us, right? Because just because a door closes on us, I want everybody to know that doesn't mean that you don't have a purpose or your purpose disappears. Just because a door has been closed on you or opportunity has not come your way, or somebody purposely closed that opportunity, a delay is not a denial. Now, I want y'all to always remember that.
Yep. And also, just because people overlook you doesn't mean that heaven did.
That's right. Come on with it.
So I'm going to say that again. Just because people overlook you does not mean that heaven did. And you got to remember that.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to get you to take it over just
absolutely
real fast.
So I'm going to take it over, and y'all know I can talk, but especially when something dear to me, because I hear a lot of people go through these situations. Like I said, I've been through it myself, and it doesn't feel good. But listen, this episode is not for the people who got it all together. Okay, so you may want to sign off. But this is really for people who's been rejected from jobs. Raise my hand. Has been removed from positions. Raise my hand. Has been overlooked in ministry. Raise my hand. Been denied assistance. Raise my hand in my lifetime. Underestimated. I can just keep my hand up, y'all, as I read through what I have. Overworked, underpaid, or just emotionally exhausted from proving ourselves to somebody. I don't know about nobody else, but that is exhausting. When you got to constantly be in a state of mind where you're constantly trying to prove yourself and prove that you belong at the table in which you sit. Okay? Because people want you to be, what qualified you to sit at the table? First of all, my Heavenly Father, if I can be truthful. But other things have qualified me to sit at this table as well. So we got to think about that when we're looking at the different things. Just, honey, it can be exhausting. I'm telling you, I know.
Yep. And so today, y'all, we're going to flip the narrative.
Flip it up.
I think when employers say people are overqualified because they don't want to pay you what you're worth. And that's true. You got to know your worth. That self-worth is so important to know.
Exactly.
So normally, when I say today we're going to change the narrative, okay? Y'all like it. So let's start off with labels, right? And society labels people so fast. So what are some labels that you think that society labels? And for you all that's watching, y'all listen.
Join in, because I know some of you've experienced it. Yeah, I know if you live long enough, you experience some things.
Yes, so list some labels that societies label people fast. And let's see if we have some similarity in here. And then maybe some that we may miss. But what is your take on some labels?
So I think labels I've heard are, you're too educated. What does that mean?
Yeah.
How can you be too educated? Too old, right? If we look at the workplace, whether they tell you or not, because I've been in those seats of being the recruit, hiring people and things like that. I'm telling you now, even though they're not supposed to, they do look at that and be like, oh, they too old. Or flip it, oh, they too young. They're going to come in here with the silliness. They're immature. They're not going to be able to handle it. Nobody has time for that. You can tell they're not, business mature or whatever the case may be. Oh, they're too emotional, right? Oh, they're too emotional. They can't do this. They're too emotional. Or here we go. They're too spiritual. Nobody, no, don't invite them. They too spiritual. Nobody wants to hear all that spiritual stuff all the time, right? Sometimes people can be like, they're too broken. how are they going to be effective and tell somebody something when they're broken themselves?
Yeah.
Sometimes those are the best ones. If you search scripture, God, he didn't go for the ones that had it all together all the time, y'all.
That's
Or,
right.
and I'm guilty of this myself, see, transparent. I'm guilty of myself in looking at an applicant and saying, ooh, just by, now I asked them the question and they gave their answer, and immediately I went to, ooh, they too ambitious. They're not going to be in this position long because they're going to be wanting the next level. And I had to get whipped on that early because it was like, but don't you want that? Do you want to stay in your role all the time? You need to hire ambitious people that can come sit in the seat that you're in so you can go to the next seat. But back in my younger days of management, I didn't look at it like that. I just thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to have all these progression plans put together for them to be able to feel like they, worthy and they going somewhere. So I've been guilty of that. Not experienced enough. Oh, we hear that a lot, and I'm gonna be honest, I hear it a lot in work, in ministry. They're not experienced enough. Well, what experience do they need? It's called life. So what experience do they actually need? Or they're not polished enough. Now, in corporate America, those that are in corporate America know it's the truth. I've heard this so many times. I'm so glad I'm out of that world, but I heard it so many times that they're not polished enough, or they don't have that executive presence. What exactly does that mean? What exactly does executive presence mean? I always look when people say those things, and we're going to keep on going, but some of us are guilty of conforming ourselves and becoming something we're not, or becoming what they want us to look like, talk like, walk like, dress like, just so we can get the next position or sit at a table that we didn't need to be polished, or that executive look. We didn't need that to sit at that table. So that's the things that come to mind for me, Brittany, when you ask me what are the things I hear or think about. Those are the things.
Yeah, and also, y'all, sometimes people would disqualify you based on one season of your life.
Come on.
They don't look at anything else, just that one season of your life, whether it's one mistake, one divorce, one failure, right? One financial hardship, or even one mental health struggle, as if you can't just have a day just to be, I don't know, just to be how you're feeling. That's my feelings. I have the right to feel how I feel, right? And so sometimes they just base it off of that one thing in your life and don't look at nothing else. And so I believe that's how sometimes people can also disqualify someone per se.
Absolutely. And what I had to learn is everybody is entitled to a bad day. And I'm just being real. I didn't used to be like that. I used to be like, okay, what's your problem? Get it together. Leave your problems outside. When you come into work, you need to come into work to work. And you can't do that. Because at the end of the day, that issue I'm going through or whatever is still part of my life, and we're gonna be real. So in speaking, we say leave it at the door, but actually we know you can't leave that at the door. That's gonna be a part of you. If you know you're about to be evicted, say leave it at the door. Now you know you're not gonna leave that at the door, okay? Or your job is talking about layoffs and stuff. You can't leave that at the door. It's still gonna be there, but what you have to do is let that fear be overtaken by your faith, and believing that if this door does close, or if this does happen, if God allowed it, then I got to be able to accept it and know that something greater is coming. So, but I want to talk about something here, which is the truth, and I can speak on it because it's the truth. But it is especially in ministry. Some people believe that titles determine your value. And it does not. I'm sorry. And those disagree, theologians and whoever else can disagree, but I'm speaking truth. And we do feel like our titles determine value. And that's just not it. Because if I'm not mistaken, in the word of God, he said, of the greatest of them is the servant. And so we supposed to have a servitude attitude, right? When you are in ministry, we're here to serve. Not here to be served, but we're here to serve. And so I think sometimes we can let titles make us feel entitled, right? And so, it'd be things like, well, if you're not the pastor, or you're not a prophet, or you're not a bishop or elder or worship leader or an executive director or department head, and so on and so on, all these other titles we give everything. People can make you feel invisible, like you don't matter. And you do to God, because in his eyes, there is nobody greater than him, and he is no respecter of persons. He gives us all different talents and different anointings and different assignments. Yes, absolutely. But just because you hold those titles don't make you more valuable than the saint. I'm just putting it out there, because some of us get big heads when we add these titles to us. Like, I'm gonna leave that alone for right now. But I'm just saying, some of us get big heads, and we got to remember the servitude. We should be in the position of servitude, even in ministry, pastors, prophets, and all those fivefold ministries. We are here to serve the people. That's our purpose. We're here to serve. Serving them how? By telling them the truth, preaching the word, living what we're preaching, being an example, being an encourager, being a motivator, right? We've got to be those things for Christ, for the people, and not be judge and jury. But the word will convict. We preach it, it reaches them, it touches them. So again, I don't like that when we do things like that. Now, I'm not talking to everybody, because some of these bishops and pastors, they got it down pat. They know it's about the people. They're trying to figure out how to help the people and things like that. But I'm just keeping it real as a minister. Sometimes we can think titles determine our value, and it doesn't. Because as I told people before, you can call me whatever, but at the end of the day, it doesn't take away the anointing that's on my life. And that's what we got to remember, because the anointing is what makes the difference. And we're talking about the minister piece, so that's why I'm getting into that like that. But just to encourage you, don't let them make you feel like you're invisible, because your voice does matter to Christ Jesus. It matters to him.
Yes, I'm always an advocate for that. Your voice definitely does matter. And then we can go like on the opposite side of that, y'all. Lord, sorry, my eyes like cross looking at you, then looking at this screen, that screen. But context. But there's the opposite side of that too, y'all, of being like over qualified. Like they can say you have too much experience, right? And I never got in there, because don't you want somebody that has experience? But what it is though, sometimes with too much experience, the truth of the matter is you're just afraid. And I don't care whether it's in ministry or the job, but I'm talking as far as the job, because this is my transparency that I've been in. Right. You can have too much experience because they're afraid that you're going to come and take over their position.
Yep.
And so I've seen that a lot. And sometimes where I'm not even, having that much experience, but I'm seeing someone else and they're like, I don't know who they think they are. They can't just come over here because they got all this experience. Can't tell me what to do, right? So that's one of being overqualified. Or like you had said, they probably will leave, right? So you're overqualified because they don't want to invest, I guess, the time or the money in you, and the preparation that it takes for training and in the modules and all this time, the benefits, right? The insurance, always something to it. They don't want to take that time out and say, hey, even if you were to leave, at least you was a valuable asset at that time. They're just looking at, oh, you got to go because you're going to leave. And I get that to a certain point, but we're gonna go with the overqualified for right now. But or you cost too much, right? I think somebody had just said you better know your worth. They don't. I think it was Mama Ruby. They don't want to pay you because you cost too much.
Yeah. So
but
they want all that knowledge.
All the knowledge. Mm-hmm. All the new projects that's coming in. All the new modules that you didn't help created. The programs, right? They end up bringing them in a $multi-million dollar program or fund or grant that you help create. Yep. But you're gonna say that I cost too much.
Come on with
it. And you're a $multi-million dollar, if not $1 billion dollar company.
Come on with it.
And what you're paying me still probably most likely underpaid because you still ain't really paying me my worth. So I need to go get my own business. But just saying, right? Yeah. Or too much, like you're saying.
Yeah. Wow.
Aren't we always evolving? How do I know too much? I'm not. Now, it'd be different for one of them know-it-alls. Like, you just can't tell them nothing when they come somewhere, right? Or even in the ministry, right? You just can't be taught or teachable, right? But everybody has a chance to evolve. Everybody's evolving. There's something that you're always not going to know. So you're constantly learning and becoming, which is what we talk about. So there's no way that I will know too much. If I know too much, then honey, there's a problem with your organization. I don't care what it is, because there should be something that you should be able to be able to teach me. If you're saying I know too much, then it's not really a me problem. It's a you problem. And I will say that it's a you problem.
And we could be just honest, right? I'm just being real. It's insulting, right? It can feel very insulting. Like, huh? I know too much? Wow. Okay. But in your rec, and that's a requisition that you put out there that said these were the things that you needed us to qualify, in order to be able to be the applicant selected, that here are your qualifications. So when I read your qualifications, I met those qualifications. So if you didn't want me to have all those qualifications, why you waste your time putting it on your rec? That's one thing I've never understood. And so, that there, because you're looking at different things that they're saying why you're underqualified or overqualified. And you're like, especially with the qualifications, like, I worked hard for that. I worked hard for that degree. I worked hard for that certificate. I've been at this job for 16 years. Sometimes work experience is better than the paper. If we want to just be real, because I'm just being real and I can speak on it because I hold degrees, and I'm just telling you, a bachelor's degree is basically saying you started something and you finished it. You have the basic knowledge to perform a particular job perform a job in your field, if that's where you choose to go. But that's all. It don't say that you can come and do this actual job. That's not what it says. But somebody that has been on the job for 16 years, you pass them over because you'll say, well, you're a little underqualified. We were looking for somebody that had a bachelor's degree. Well, if you add them 16 years up on the job experience, that's a PhD. If you really look at it. So those things can be insulting sometimes when you work hard for something and then you're overlooked because of this or that, which has no substance. And anybody out there listening, like, well, how you know, or whatever, I'm telling you, I've been there. I've experienced it, been in corporate America for over 30 years. I know how they do. And I'm thankful to God that I'm no longer in there. But I'm not bashing it, because those that want to go. But a lot of people are turning from corporate America because of those things right there. And you just got to we got to just do a better job of not letting people feel like their qualifications that they work so hard for don't mean nothing now. We gotta stop that.
Yep, exactly. And then just imagine, like, finally getting your degree, right? Finally getting the certifications, experience, wisdom, healing, only to hear you're not a fit. Like, could you really imagine that? Like, you finally getting everything that they say that you, or deemed to you that you needed, but then you're not the fit.
Exactly. And I'm gonna tell y'all something about that. Even though that hurts and stings, I'm telling you from experience. I'm telling you, please hear me.
Be transparent, girl.
Sometimes that rejection that you get is divine protection. Do you hear me? Sometimes the rejection that you get from jobs or any of those things I told you that we were going to cover, life, just different things, it does not, y'all, I'm telling y'all, it is divine protection. And I will tell you an experience that I had really quick. I posted for a job way back when, and I knew I was doing the job before it had a title, okay? Before they gave it a title, I was doing the work. And so once they gave it a title, put it out there and all the good stuff, I applied, right? Thinking, yeah, I should get this. And I didn't get it. Now, I would be a liar to sit and tell you, like, oh, I was like, oh, it's okay. No, I was really hot. I was really like, what's really going on? Like, where's the candid camera? Who's playing jokes, right? And so I had to sit there like, wow, what the world? How could I be doing the job, but then when it becomes an official role, I don't get the job? But I will tell you this, and this is real honesty. Once and then to add insult, I had to train the person. Anybody been there? Where you got to go train the person for for the job you are doing?
Yep.
Woo, woo, woo. Yep. You talking about some meekness,
That's some real stuff right there.
some temperance, some love, and some peace. You got to have all that, not to take it out on that person, because it's not that person's fault. They didn't hire themselves, right? So I had to think about all of that. But anyway, after doing the training and giving the person the position, giving them the ranks to go on and start the position, of course they added some other things, right? Because now that it's official, now they need extra stuff added because they're going to really pay you for it. They got to make sure they're getting everything out of you. And so this individual that I trained and that they took over the position, they end up, and Lord knows, I'm pretty sure they had other things going on, but they end up having a mental breakdown because the job was just too much. It was entirely too much pressure, too much stress. All the extra things that they had added to that role was just overwhelming. And so when I look back at it, that was divine protection for me, because that could have been me. And so I'm just encouraging y'all, don't always, now we human beings, our feelings going to be hurt. We don't get something we think we're supposed to have. The feeling of rejection don't feel good always. But I really want y'all to hear me loud and clear that rejection sometimes is for divine protection. And it protected me from the nonsense. And it's been done time and time again. I just need a whole podcast to talk about that. But it's been done to me time and time again. But it is for your divine protection. So sometimes just cry, whatever you got to do to get over whatever's happened. But do know that it is sometimes rejection is sometimes for your divine protection.
I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, cuz.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Brenda.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Brenda.
Crystal.
Hey, Crystal.
Trying to
hey,
catch
Mia.
everybody as they
I
come.
know.
Hey, Sugar. Thanks for joining.
And I think that's really good right there.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about y'all, that can be one of the topics. That would be good real life with y'all's careers. And so I guess for me, sometimes, God won't let you shrink to fit spaces that you were never designed, that were never, I guess, designed for your growth. So I think that was good right there, what you talked about.
Oh, yeah.
We
don't
definitely
shrink
gotta
yourself
talk
for
about
nobody, y'all. If they don't want you, you don't shrink
Mhm.
yourself ever for no one to feel comfortable. Why did I tell y'all that? Because I did it. I would shrink myself or hide some of my skill sets just so others could feel comfortable. And that's just, don't do that. If you hear nothing else, don't shrink yourself just to make your leader or whomever you are having conversation with to feel like they're superior. You don't do that, because I'm telling you, it will come to bite you in the booty. And if you're giving them all your intellect and all your knowledge, and they are going to meetings acting like that's their words and it's yours, I'm telling you to put a pause on it and think about it before you continue to do that.
Right. So I know you said that can be another segment, but just kind of like briefly, let's talk about like real life with jobs and careers, because that also still ties into the overqualifying, underqualifying, and still disqualified.
Yeah.
Not long though, because we ain't got much.
Well,
but I know you
fast.
got, but kind of just hint on it, because that's kind of like real life situation when they're dealing with those.
Yeah. So sometimes, right, when others are feeling like underqualified, for everything, like it could be 5 years experience, right? They may be list, how you look at what we're looking for, right? Here are the qualifications, right? Here are the pre-qualification. Here's the requirements, right? What's the difference? Anyway, so they would be like 5 years experience, right? And you'd be like, oh, I only have 3 years, man. Why I gotta have 5? I'm a good learner. I'm a fast learner. It could be stuff like you don't have a master's degree, right? And I'm telling you, I've seen this happen. So don't be discouraged, young folk or anybody out there pursuing jobs and stuff. Don't be discouraged, because I've seen them add that onto Rex just to keep certain people from getting the job. So, and then leadership experience, right? Oh, you don't have enough leadership experience. Well, define leadership, because all leadership does not require you to have people. Everybody's not a people leader. Everybody is not. Some people are really good leaders of processes And those are like project managers, sales account executives, people that can work individual contributors is what they call it. But a lot of times they'll tell you that you're disqualified because you don't have the leadership experience or expert level, right? You don't have the expert level skills. And a lot of times when you get into those roles, you sometimes are looking like you asked for all this and none of this is needed for what I'm about to do. So even though, and I'm just telling you all this because I used to write recs, and I'm telling you, sometimes the people that write recs will purposely put things in the rec that will scare the average person. And what I mean by scaring you is like, oh, I can't do this job. I'm not qualified. That's because we don't want anyone like that got that attitude of that. Because then we are afraid that you're not going to challenge things. You're not going to be innovative to help grow the business and things like that. So I'm just telling you, just giving you some little nuggets. I'm telling you, I'm a whole lot older than what I look. I'm telling y'all, been there and done it. But don't get discouraged by some of the qualifications that the job is asking you for. Post anyway.
Yep. And that makes me think saying post what you talked about before. There's an imposter in the room, but that's more so like the imposter syndrome, right? Starts creeping in, right? Yep. Like you start questioning yourself again. Like you don't know who you are. Like you don't know who you are and whose you are, right? It's like, and I'm just speaking for because I don't know if anybody been like this, but it does creep in. You're like, well, am I good enough? Yeah. When you know good and well, you end up putting in the work with it, but you're asking yourself, like, am I good enough, right? Mm-hmm. Am I even capable of really doing this? And you know you are. And then it's like, well, maybe I'm just behind in life, right? Like maybe I haven't caught up to where I'm supposed to be at. And we kind of went over that. So y'all go back and look at some of the videos we did before, because we kind of talked about that and hit on that. But it just made me think about that when you said that the imposter syndrome start creeping in when it comes to that.
Yep. And then if we could just be real, I know we got a lot of people that love social media, and it has its place. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. It has its place. But sometimes when you're dealing with that, it can make it worse, right? Because you're already feeling down or different things like that. And here come everybody announcing these promotions, right? And businesses and six-figure salaries and their new homes and their luxury lifestyles, right? I'm just keeping it real. They and it ain't nothing wrong with that. I guess they letting you know they made it out and they've been successful. But for that person that is right now not there, it can sometimes, and it could be someone listening right now to me, y'all. It's like right now, it's trying to figure out how I'm going to pay my rent. Yeah. You on here bragging about your house and your cars and your this and your that. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out how I'm going to pay my rent. Mm-hmm. So sometimes social media can make things even worse when we're going through our own battle upstairs, right? And upstairs for me is in our head, right? When we're going through our own battles, sometimes, sometimes we don't need to see that. Sometimes you just need to bag back from it just for a little bit, especially when you know that's what most people do, right? I call it the pump up place, right? The fantasy land, where people live sometimes just to put things out there. And it does affect people sometimes when they're going through things.
Yep. Or since you said that one, I'll take it to the ministry. I know normally you do that part, but or like you're trying to keep your lights on, right? But you're still showing up and smiling at church every Sunday, right? Child. But good and well, like I'm trying to keep my lights on. Yeah. But you just have to have a smile and you be there every Sunday. So that's I think that's something also to take into consideration. Yeah, when you're starting to, the
people
little
going through. Yeah, and when you start to try to figure things out, because I'm telling y'all what I just said a moment ago. We consider church. How you doing? Oh, I'm blessed and highly favored. What that mean? What does blessed and highly favored mean? And you know good and well, you are not okay. I am not okay today. I need prayer. It is nothing wrong with that. And every church should be welcoming and inviting of that. We should never make people feel like, well, get over it or just keep on trusting God. What does that mean? See, because I would be the person to have follow-up questions, right? What does that look like to trust God? Give me some examples where you've done it. Give me some examples so I can hold on to those. Those are good stories in the Bible that you tell me about. But how does those stories relate to what I am going through now? And that's where I think we have an opportunity in the church to do a better job with bringing reality in of here is how David M. did it back then. How does that equate to now?
Yeah.
Where's my modern day David? Where are my modern day Moses? Where are my modern day Esther's, and so on and so on. So, but
Yeah.
exactly, Brittany, what you said, I mean, it is so real. And so let's discuss for a minute benefits. Let's just go real. I'm going to take it way back. So, and we're going to speed up so I make sure we get everything in. But, like health insurance, right? Or you don't qualify because you had a pre-existing condition,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
while I'm not going to say the Affordable Care Act was the best thing because I don't think we took everything into consideration, but I am thankful that it came out there because somebody that's been in the healthcare field for 31 years and a healthcare company, I am telling you now, I am glad the Affordable Care Act came in. People like to call Obamacare, I call it what it is, which is Affordable Care Act. I'm glad it came in because it got rid of pre-existing conditions. Because people need to be seen by doctors. And just because I may have had cancer 6 years ago, I haven't had it since 6 years. Why am I not able to get health insurance? So I'm glad that came because that too can be an issue with being denied.
Yeah.
Or housing assistance. I really need some help, but because I'm married, I can't get no help. Well, when did becoming married make you be in a class by yourself and disqualified? That don't mean that married couples don't have struggles. Been there in my younger years in my marriage, been there. So that don't mean anything just because I'm married.
And it's a lot of young married couples doing the right thing,
doing
enjoying
the right
young
thing.
love, but can't get the
Yeah,
because of
jobs firing you for no reason because they trying to keep their money.
Yeah.
I'm just keeping it real, and then they go look for some help, and you tell them no.
Yeah.
Or food support. I'm gonna tell you now. I feel like everybody should get food stamps. Every taxpaying person. I've always stood on that. They paying tax to give them some food support. What's wrong with it? Ain't nothing wrong with that if you're going to help somebody out. If they're paying their taxes, and especially if they come in the need, if they lose their job, they don't have no income, how are they going to survive? They need food. So, I mean, it's not costing us nothing. We're in a great place. We're supposed to be the best country in the world. Why not help your people? So I'm very passionate about stuff like that because I had humble beginnings. And so I never forget where I came from. I will never forget that. So I think that, that's that. And so I just think it's horrible that, you got one kid. Oh, you make too much money. I've been in a place where I've had a mother come to me and ask me to please not give her a raise that she was deserving of so she could keep her assistance.
My God.
That is craziness. That is absolutely craziness. And it wasn't worth the little 30 cents she was going to get added to her salary. It just wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. But imagine being in leadership and you got people coming to you asking not to give them an increase because they can't afford to lose the support to support the kids, right? Craziness. Pure craziness to me.
Yeah. Hey, Miss Jacqueline.
Hey, Miss Jacqueline. Hey, Jennifer.
Yeah. But also, and when you was talking about that, right? Like the gap is really real.
Yeah.
Ooh, the gap is real.
It's real.
We can talk about that. The gap. What are the gaps? That'd be a good topic. Anyway, okay, but also, right? So you can be overqualified for help, but still under resourced in life.
Come
so that's
on.
basically what I'm hearing when you did that.
Yeah.
Like you can be overqualified in life, but under resourced in life.
Yeah.
And it really is a shame.
It is a shame because we like to tell you no, but you don't get no options. Sorry, you don't qualify.
And then that's it.
And
No follow up. Here are some resources. Even though you don't qualify, we have these programs in place for the ones who don't. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's not like we can definitely do a better job.
We sure can. And then in that it creates shame, right?
Yeah.
Especially in the male population, right? Because if and I'm not a man, but I have 10 brothers, so I know how they operate and what they think, but I'm not a male. But I do know that a man takes pride in taking care of his loved ones, right? A man. I'm not talking about a boy. I'm talking about a man. A man takes pride in being able to take care of his family, making sure he's supporting his family.
Yeah.
But when something happens in life that is unforeseen or whatever the case may be, and they no longer can do that, sometimes they feel ashamed and feeling like they've let their family down. When really it wasn't them, it's the system that they've been paying into the whole time working. You take it out of it, you don't get to choose that. Sometimes on your check you can put exempt so they don't take money out, but you can't do exempt for the Medicaid and Medicare stuff. You can't do exempt for that Social Security stuff. They're gonna take it out regardless. So it makes people feel embarrassed to need when they're needing assistance. Some people get ashamed. They don't even want to go because they are ashamed. I was there. I'm just telling you, I was there. Like, oh God, somebody gonna see me sitting up here at social service, and then they gonna da 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 da. Well, I needed the help, so but you don't want to go through that period of feeling like, are they gonna qualify me or disqualify me, right? And needing help. But I want to say this to you in all of that. Because you may need some help, it doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you be a person that lazy and sorry and just want a handout. No, I didn't want no one's handout. I worked hard, but life happened at one time in my life, and so I needed the help. But I just want to encourage y'all. Just because you need help, don't you dare sit there and not go and ask for help. The worst they can say is no. Okay, well, I kind of figured you were going to do that anyway. But don't let that embarrass you to a point where you feel weak. And I just encourage my brothers out there, keep your head up and, do what you got to do for your family. But if you need assistance, get it. It ain't just for women. Go get you some assistance.
Yeah, and I agree because people are not the priority anymore. Taking care of the wealthy is.
Yeah.
Inflation to everything. The world system is set up to keep us in the system, so the system continues to gain wealth.
Yeah,
that is true. And then sometimes the system is just some stuff is written out though too, but because we don't know, or you may get a late start and they're already ahead of what's coming next, and you're finally just catching up to the now. That also delay because you don't know, or sometimes I'm not gonna lie, you didn't read. Like I read into stuff now. Like I was not into stocks. I did not understand what certain things was, but now I'll look at certain things, and it's not always guaranteed. So I'm not even gonna go in there because I'm not giving no solicited advice. I'm not soliciting any advice for stocks. So I'm just saying there's different things that I did not know of until I was introduced to somebody else, and somebody else introduced it, and then I start reading. I'm like, wow. Just like now working in the health field, like even with mental health and just how insurance and claims and stuff go, or even like the benefits that now I can tell my family, like, hey, when I talk to a family, say, hey, for care coordination, this is what they have implemented. And I'm like, wow. So I'll call like, hey, for my family that have them, like, did you know that you got these benefits? Make sure you take advantage of that. And I would have never known if I wasn't even in the workplace. So sometimes, and it'd be right there, but they don't depend on you or expect you to read because sometimes you're too busy to even try to open up, right? To get it. You just need in the car for the insurance, but sometimes you do have to take time to read those benefits because they are there. So sometimes I just want to put that out there. Y'all read them benefits. Take some time out to read because there are stuff that's hidden there and they know that you're not going to take time out to read it. So that's another thing. And so I'm going to say this even louder from what you said. Needing help does not erase your dignity.
Come on with it.
You still have your dignity. So needing help does not erase your dignity. So I just want to speak on louder when you said that because I really need people to understand that. Like the fact that you are aware and that you know and that you're willing to say, hey, I need help. It is okay. I get so many people that just feels ashamed or they get depressed or have anxiety or even like suicidal ideation because they're going through, but they don't know how to ask for help. And the first step they did take was getting help from mental health professionals. And so I just encourage people like, it's okay to get help. It does not take away your dignity. You still will have your dignity and even more thereof. Like you will end up finding some new identities about yourself that you didn't even know. So
do coping mechanisms and things like that. But anyway, what I will say with that is everybody needs some help sometimes. So I'm just going to tell you now, everybody needs some help sometime, whether that's therapy, community, financial assistance, whether you need prayer, whether you need mentorship, whether you need some grace, baby, because I sure be needing grace sometimes. So none of us can survive alone. None of us. We need help sometimes, y'all. So
even in the body, what's that song? I need you, you need me. We're all part of God's body.
That song. I love that song.
Saying you can't do it alone.
I need you and you need me. We are all a part of God's body. Yes, all of us are. With our flaws and all, we accepted him. He's in our life. He's gonna work it out. But in moving into that really quick, we want to go into the next segment talking about a little bit about the ministry, the church hurt, and the purpose, right? And so this segment right here may hit home for many of us listeners, right? And many of us out there in our worlds, all our platform worlds, or maybe somebody you know, if it ain't you in particular. But church spaces can sometimes be, come on, let's just be real, a little competitive instead of compassionate.
Mm. Mm.
I'm going to say it one more time.
Hey, we got some topics within topics here.
Church spaces sometimes can feel more competitive instead of compassionate. And we should not be worrying and competing against one another. No. That is the most insane thing, but it's real.
It is.
Whether we want to talk about it or not, it's real.
It is.
It's really, really real.
Because titles end up becoming like status symbols.
Come on.
People fighting over positions instead of focusing on the purpose. And yes, I try to work without my hands, but I am so passionate about this. Stop fighting over positions instead of focusing on the purpose. And I love it, so I'm going to give them a shout out. But for Prophet, I love the saying, we do better together.
Yeah.
Like, we just do better together. It's not about who got what position. Focus on the purpose of it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's just, yeah.
And I think sometimes people feel disqualified from ministry because of their past. Has anybody ever had, and whether you're in church or in a community environment or a social group or whatever, different ministry, different things, but whether you're in those things, have you ever felt like somebody holds your past against you to keep you from moving forward? Have you, even in jobs sometimes, y'all, I know we're in the ministry piece, but even on jobs, they want to remember you when you were 18. Child, when I was 18 and when I was 20, I was a trip. I tell you off and keep it moving, cuss you out and keep it moving. Just being real. But as I grew up and got older and matured business-wise, I'm not that person anymore. But that's all they saw. Every time I went up for a position, that's all they saw. Was that little 21-year-old. I'm sitting here 35. Why are we still talking about something at 21? I'm 40. Why are we still talking about something I did at 25? So those things can really affect people. Try to disqualify them from the ministry because of their past. Oh, well, he got kids out of wedlock. Now he want to go be a pastor. Yeah. Because he needed to have a testimony for the mother that's going to come into the church feeling like she's unworthy because she's had children before she got married. So, yes, he got to go through that or she's got to go through that to be able to be relatable. So maybe they were a teen parent. You want to hold that against them? Okay, they made bad mistakes. What did the family structure look like? Did they have the support that they needed? Did they, you don't know where people come from, but we want that book of judgment there. Or maybe they struggle with addiction. Okay, well, Jesus used the wino. He used the prostitute. So I'm just saying we can't hold those past against people. Or maybe they went through a divorce. And now we want to talk about them because they went through a divorce. But I'm a firm believer that my God ain't never told no woman and or man, because sometimes men get beat on too, but ain't never told nobody to stay in no abusive relationship for the sake of until death do us part. Because that's going to be real. Somebody going to do your part. Either he going to kill you or you going to kill him. And so that's not our God.
And it don't sound like he put it together.
And he didn't put it together. So we're going to talk about that a whole nother time. That's on my stuff because I'm here to tell people we got some things twisted in the word of God with that whole marriage thing. But anyway, maybe they went through a divorce, or maybe they're battling depression. Yeah. We don't know what's making them act like that. We don't know what's got them crying or feeling like they don't belong or wanting to be isolated to themselves. But have you taken the time to go over there and say, Sister so-and-so, you okay today? Or Brother so-and-so when he's missing? I'm just telling us we got work to do. We got work to do up in the house.
And then just remember, like, if God only used perfect people,
come on,
nobody would qualify.
Not one single person
would qualify.
From the pulpit to the back door. Not one person.
Nobody will qualify because no one's perfect.
No one, exactly. So I encourage us who think we've arrived to look through your scripture, because Moses had anger issues. Oh yes, he did. Oh yes, he did. Got real mad at them people because they was getting on his nerves. And David made some major mistakes. Come on now. David set up people. David made a lot of mistakes, right? But he still was a man after God's own heart. Peter, he denied Jesus. Come on now. He's supposed to be his right-hand person. But when it came to his life, I don't know him. Anybody been there with somebody supposedly having your back? But then when your back is gone, they taking knives in it just like everybody else. But anyway, and then Paul, he was persecuted by the Christians before becoming an apostle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, sorry, he persecuted Christians, not that he persecuted Christians, excuse me, before becoming an apostle. We know all about Saul to Paul, right? If we don't, I'd encourage you to read because there's some good stories in that Bible now. Yeah, it's dope. Now you need to read up on some of them stories. Some people try to make you feel like you gotta arrive all of a sudden. You got men in that Bible all throughout that Bible that jacked up some stuff, but God still found purpose in them.
Okay.
So
because they were supposed to be serving. Purpose always
y'all
find a
tell
way
I get
to serve.
passionate about stuff like that. God's house is a hospital. That hospital don't get to reject people. You got to come all kind of ways. People with little colds from the people that's about to die. All of them come through the hospital room if they need help.
Yep. And sometimes people disqualify who God already approved. And you got to know, again, I said people, not that he did. People disqualified.
Yeah.
Right? So you get disqualified by people. Sometimes God already approved. It's just the people that did it. And they're people. So you got to remember that. I'm going to keep saying they're people. They're not God. They're people. So just
people.
Just remember that.
And here's another thing. You don't need a microphone to have a ministry. You hear what I say?
Let me tap on the mic.
You don't need a microphone to have a ministry. Open up your mouth and tell somebody about the goodness. Open up your mouth and encourage somebody that they can make it.
Don't
Open
need
up
no
your
microphone.
mouth.
Don't have to have no camera.
No, you don't need no camera because a lot of times the camera we faking it. But we gonna move on from that.
Okay.
But anyway, so what I want to say is your kindness is your ministry, not a microphone. Okay? Yes. How you treat people, how you're inviting, how you're willing to listen, how you're willing to share, how you're willing to encourage. Your kindness is your ministry. Your consistency is your ministry. Showing up every time, not skipping like a car that needs new spark plugs, but showing up every time for those people or for yourselves and being consistent, right? That is what your microphone is. That's your ministry. It substitutes that microphone. And then checking on somebody. That's one thing dear to my heart. When people join your body of Christ, you got to learn to check on them. If they missing, check on them. Don't check. Where you been? No, check on them with a true loving heart. Because you just never know what somebody's going through, y'all.
That's so true.
Life is real.
Life be lifing.
Yes.
Be lifing. And then sometimes also people think like influence only happens on stages. It doesn't. And I'm going to say this because I've known some, I used to be one, but some of the greatest impact definitely happens quietly. So don't think I was going to be on stage and I'll get the accolades and all this rah-rah. Like sometimes the greatest impact happens silently. It doesn't always have to be broadcasted. You just don't know. There's so much stuff, and I'm not going to brag and say it, but there's so much stuff that people do, including me, that you would never know that I do because it's not about that. But just for it being quiet, and long as I know, and it's between me and God and that person, I may call and check on somebody. I may drive over. Y'all know I told y'all that I do pull up. I don't mind pulling up. But whatever it is, but it don't always have to be out loud. The greatest impact is sometimes silent.
Yes. Yes. And I think, too, you may not have all the answers yet, right? You may still be healing. You may still be learning. But growth happens while moving, not while hiding. So regardless of what somebody thinks, whether you're qualified, overqualified, underqualified, or just totally out of the picture altogether, you just keep growing. You just keep growing.
Yep. And then so like somebody could be listening right now, right? Maybe you've been delayed in a dream, right? Or you're delaying your dream because you think you need to be certified, right? Or you may need one more connection or one more sign. I was that person. I told you, I'd be like, God, if you just give me one more sign, just have somebody else, just one more sign, Lord, I promise, then I'll do it, right? But sometimes it's not always like that. Sometimes God may just say, start with what you already have.
Yep.
Learn how to start with what you already have. Don't wait till more comes. And I know some may say, but I want to, I want to quit drinking. I want to quit smoking before I go try. I got to get it right first. Start with what you have, which is with yourself. Start with yourself. The awareness that you have that, okay, maybe I do need help. Maybe I do need to go into the house of God. Maybe I need to go into rehab, whatever the case may be. Just start with what you already have, and then keep evolving that. It'll
Yeah.
keep going. You know, like the snowball. They say a snowball, you get it, and you keep
Yeah.
adding more, and you keep rolling, it gets bigger. That's
Yeah.
the snowball effect it would have on you. Just
Yeah.
start with yourself. If I could really encourage anybody, start with yourself. Believe with yourself. As long as you connected with what's inside of you and your psyche, you be
Yeah.
good.
Be good.
You got all you need. You be
Yeah.
good.
And I think too, another thing, y'all, I just want to encourage you, you don't have to be the most qualified person in the room to be the most impactful.
Ooh, come on.
You do not.
Nope.
You do not
That's
have to
powerful
be the
right
most
there.
qualified. You don't. You don't to be the most impactful.
Okay.
Please remember that. Please remember that. Because, your authenticity can open doors that your resume could never do.
Ooh, I can
And
attest
how
to
do
that.
I know that? Because I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it. I sat at tables that the world would say I shouldn't be at. From a business perspective in corporate America, they would say that I never had no business at that table because I didn't have a business with that position, because I didn't have a piece of paper, or I didn't have this. But when you have the favor, when you have the favor, when you have the faith, when you have the confidence in your abilities and the abilities God has given you, it will outweigh any resume you could ever put together. So your testimony can reach people that your title will never do.
Oh my! Say that again.
Your
Yes.
testimony
Mm-hmm.
that you have can reach people that your title will never do.
Mm-hmm.
Never. My titles that I've gained and have in corporate mean nothing, y'all. It cannot do anything that my testimony can do.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, every speaker most likely had a shaky voice.
Yeah.
Right? Every leader had a first day.
Yeah.
So can you imagine what your first day looked like? Like your
Oh,
very
my.
first day
Oh,
of a
my.
very first job
Yeah.
before you got into that leadership or that high leadership position.
Yeah.
And every entrepreneur make mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
Like you gotta make a mistake to keep on growing a business. Everyone that I know that has started business, and we're gonna have a segment on that and get them on here and talk about it. But every entrepreneur made mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah. As I told y'all before, most millionaires didn't become millionaires the first time they tried.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't. Now, like I said, the lottery, we don't include that. I'm talking about people who actually built businesses. They failed. And they learned from their mistakes. They learned what worked and what didn't work. And then guess what they did? They got up and tried it again. Why? Because it's not about how many times you fall, but how many times you get up. So I just want to say, just shifting really quick. We said we was going to try to do this thing and be on time. But I would say this to y'all, that we want to talk just a little bit about healing and hope. What if rejection wasn't punishment? Remember what I said just a little while ago? Mm-hmm. Sometimes it is your divine protection. And what if it was preparation instead? Think about that. Let that sit and marinate. Yeah. What if rejection was not about punishment as much as it is about preparation?
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Something to think about.
Sometimes, and I can't speak on yours, but she done shared it, even on Transparent Tuesday, because sometimes losing a position also saves your peace.
Woo, say it.
So when you said that, I just thought about that.
I didn't talk about that. We talked about that before, but I'm telling you for real. Yeah. Yes.
Even sometimes being removed from like certain circles,
it
introduces you to a real community.
Yeah.
Hear what I'm saying? Sometimes being removed from certain circles will literally introduce you to real community.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta be willing to make some changes, right? We talked about that cage last week. Gotta come up out that cage. Because sometimes, we being removed, like she said, from certain circles will help us, because when you think about a circle, there's a never-ending cycle. Somebody got to break it, or we're just going to keep going around and around and around. And sometimes, y'all, being overqualified means, listen, that you have outgrown environments that can no longer contain your purpose. Some of us stick around people that we know good and well. They mean us no good. They want us around so we can never be more than what they are. So they can have somebody to have a pity party with. I'm just being real right now. And somebody that they can feel they got one level up on. Some of you in circles where nobody don't really want to see you do well. They want to make sure that they're the best one in the circle. They're the most wealthy one. They're the most successful one in the circle. They don't want you successful because then they don't have nobody to look down on. But you don't even know they're looking down on you, but they are. You better learn how to let some people go.
Yep. And also with listening, so we're all listening, so we're listening carefully. A closed door does not cancel your calling. It does not cancel your calling. And it doesn't mean that someone, again, for the people who think that you're supposed to be a certain way, that you're underqualified or you're disqualified.
Right.
It's between you and God, but a closed door does not cancel your calling.
Showed us that.
So when you got a call on you, doors are going to be open.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to be shut. If they are shut, that means they were supposed to be shut for a reason. And they're not going to open.
Right. Look for that new door. Don't open up that door where you know what's behind it. Go to the new door that God is opening up. We sometimes want to keep opening up the door that God allowed to be shut. God allowed that door to be shut. Why are you going to open it back up?
Yeah.
You already know what's back behind the door. So don't do that. So I just encourage you, like, for real, like, don't do that. Because sometimes, guys, if we can just go deeper for one moment, you know, sometimes the words themselves hold revelation, right? If you really break the words down, being overqualified.
Go deep with it.
Overqualified. Let's look at them prefixes. Overqualified. Underqualified. Disqualified. Let's break that down for them, Brittany.
Break it down.
So
I guess with over, right? When you think about it, it means like excess.
Yeah.
Not access, ACCESS, but excess. And then under, of course, that means you being beneath.
That's right.
And then this will be, let's see, disqualified. So it's like you're being apart or removed or maybe even like reversed.
Right.
But none of those prefixes really destroy the root word qualified when you look at it.
Do you hear what we're saying?
Like, it does not destroy the root word. And if you're trying to say, well, what's the root word? So I'll just be, because I know some people may be literal, because sometimes I'm like that. But if you take over from the qualified, you take under from the qualified, you take this from the qualified.
Preach.
The word that's left, that's not destroyed, is qualified. And that's literally how life works, right? Situations may try to attach themselves to things, right? Where it comes to your identity, like we talked about being overlooked, or what's another word for under, like undervalued, or dismissed, disconnected, disappointed, because you can have disappointments, but your core still remains intact. When you take overlooked from the over out, you're looked at. You take under from under, what you say, undervalued. You're valued. Right?
That's
if you
key.
take disconnected, take out the dis, you're connected. Right? If you take out disappointed from the disappointment, you're appointed.
Move the prefixes.
Make sure,
Move the prefixes that hold a negative connotation to a positive word.
Period.
That really is what it's all about. Take the negative connotation, take that negative prefix off of a word that really has a positive impact, a positive meaning, because that prefix just made the positive word become a negative connotation. So you want to look at those things, because they may overlook you, but guess what? They looked at you. They'll never forget seeing you. So you gotta remember those things, and especially in the house of God, when you're being overlooked, God sees you. The people see you. When you open your mouth, they hear you. So
you can just walk by and be in the
just
store,
walk by,
and they see you and they be like, they just tell you. I don't know what, they just come and tell you everything. You don't even know, and be like, and then they say, I don't know why I just felt so free to just tell you all my business.
I was getting my nails done one day. This lady just, oh my God, she was sitting on the little couch and I was on the other end. And I think she thought she was in her office. And she just told me everything she was going through and her life story while we waited to get our nails done. And I ended up ministering to her and praying with her. And we went on about our business, got our nails done. And when she finished, she came and gave me a big hug. It's just those things. That's why I'm saying you don't need a microphone. No. You don't need a stage. You don't, because sometimes we get the stage and be a performance. Do the work outside sometimes.
Yeah.
So I love it. And so my thing is, your qualifications may not always be on paper, y'all. It may not always be on paper, but
Yep.
it's here. It's here, right? It's here. So remember that. And then
Yeah.
sometimes your qualifications is surviving what should have broke you. Do you hear me, family? Your qualification is surviving that very thing that someone set up or the situation happened or whatever the case may be that was set to break you. You just sitting there surviving it is what your qualification is. And then sometimes your qualification can be your compassion. Your compassion that you have for people. Your compassion that you have for the love of God's people. All people from all walks of life. Because we don't know their story and how they got to walking on the path that they got on. But you will never know if you don't show compassion. Because they will never want to tell their story for you feeling like you're going to judge them already.
Yeah.
So,
And that's being honest. So, again, I think I had said most of the quiet ones are the most impactful ones, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then some of the most impactful people are the ones who feel unqualified, right?
yeah.
And then just thinking about some stuff. Well, you can go into kind of, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but
That's
you can
okay.
kind of go into like, cause I like to get real examples, y'all. And I know we over time, but I like to give real examples again from the psyche part, right? When it comes to the spiritual part, and then also like real life, like what does that look like being relatable in this time?
Yeah.
So maybe if you can, I know some stories,
Right.
but you may know a little bit more. So maybe you can give us some examples of like in the Bible, where people felt, unqualified, but they're the most impactful, and not just men in there, also women. Yeah.
So I think, just right off, right? You think about Jeremiah. What did they tell him? They told him that he was too young. They felt like he was too young to be able to bring them a word or to tell them something God had said. He was too young. But the very one God used, a Gideon, he felt weak. He felt weak. Like, I can't do what you've asked me to do because I feel weak. And so again, I'm reminded by the verse where it says in the word that, the race is not given to the swift nor to the strong, but to the one that can do what? Endure.
Yep.
And don't be weak. Don't be weary in your well doing. But we get weak sometimes. We feel like we're too weak to do what God has asked us to do, but we can. And so feeling unqualified, Moses, because he was not a man of great speech, right? He was like, hey, you going to use me? Absolutely. Absolutely. We don't want the ones that went through and it ain't no harm to nobody. I love education, but I'm just being real. Some of us are taught how to work off of people's emotions, and we need to make sure we are going to school for theology and things for the right reason. So anyway, he tried to tell God he wasn't the right person. He's like, you can't use me, or he went from being that, that fugitive to a leader, right? So a good thing with that is insecurities does not cancel your assignment. David, overlooked by his own family, right?
Yep.
Surely you won't here my other sons are great, healthy and big and buff and but God didn't want it. God didn't want none of them. He said, you gotta have somebody else. There's gotta be another son somewhere. These are not it. This is not what I'm looking for. And then the father's like, well, I got one younger son, but he out there tending to the sheep. Yeah, he's very fragile, and I'm just paraphrasing. Go read stories. But, he's fragile. I mean, he can't do it. But he ended up being the one that God wanted. He ended up being the king. He became the king. Y'all hear what I'm saying? The least that you expect is the one God will put on that mountaintop.
And he was the youngest. So that's
and
my young
youngest,
people out there.
The young people, son. That's right. Don't let no older folk disqualify you because of age. Wisdom ain't got nothing to do with that. But anyway, and that's a whole nother topic, a whole nother story. But then for the women, Deborah or Deborah, whichever one you want to call her. But she was a female judge, a leader in a male-dominated culture. That's what we're still in, okay? But she was the leader. That's who God, he didn't want to hear what no man said. She had the right to judge people, y'all. Y'all hear what I'm saying? When the word tells us not to judge, but she had the right. She was given the right by God to judge. And he would not go on the trip without her. She was to go judge the people. So don't let nobody make you feel demised because you are a woman. Many may be feeling like they're underestimated because they are a woman. Don't you ever let no one underestimate you.
That's right.
Don't let no gender, because the word of God in Galatians says that there is neither Greek nor Jew, no male nor female. He doesn't even look at that anymore. But we're all one in Christ Jesus. But for whatever reason, these men want to always bring up that we're women. That has nothing to do with it. I don't care if it's a man or a woman. If they bring me the word and I can follow them and what they're saying, glory be to God. But even with that she went through, she still was able to shed wisdom and courage, right? So the lesson that I want you to get from that is you don't need permission to walk in your calling. You understand?
Wait, they said what's the middle one?
The middle one. You don't need permission to walk in your calling. Okay? You don't need that. Martha, often remember for worrying and overworking, right? Martha. And so some names you don't even know, like, where does Martha come from? Read, because, we only get the stories about Esther. And I'm just keeping it real. And the same ones we read all the time. We don't hardly hear nothing about Priscilla and other ones in the Bible. But anyway, I'll stick to what I'm talking about, Martha. Often remember for worrying and overworking, right? Felt pressure to do everything perfectly. You hear? Brittany. Yet, Jesus still loved and valued her deeply. Even though she was worried and overlooking, y'all. That's why I say, even though God says, be not weary in well-doing, for you shall reap if you faint not. He know we get tired. Ain't no need of lying and saying you never get tired. That's a lie. You do get tired. The body gets tired, okay? But, feeling pressure to be perfect and stuff like that. And so Jesus still loved her and valued her deeply. So your lesson is, again, your worth is not based on your productivity. It's not based on that. Your worth is not based on that. Come on with Rahab. Rahab was a prostitute. And many people would have immediately dismissed her. Oh, shoot, she can't tell me nothing. Shoot, you out there in the street. I just see her on MLK. I just see her on whatever your street is. But yet, she helped protect God's people and became a part of Jesus' lineage. Y'all see what I'm saying? People that normal people would dismiss are the very ones that he will use. That's why I'm telling you, stop. Take them negative connotations off of them words, because he sees you. So here's this lesson with that one, that God can rewrite your story behind any society label. Okay? So when they keep on wanting to tell you about your past and what you did before, what you was and who you was, and you was a pimp daddy or you was a whatever the case may be, nobody cares about that stuff. If God has rewrote your story, make them read that book. Make them put that other book down and read that book. Tell them, oh no, baby, that was wrote back in 2000. This one was just wrote whenever you got saved. Give them that book. Let them read that story. And you think about athletes like Michael Jordan. He got cut from his daggone high school basketball team. Anybody would be like, I give up. But guess what? He didn't let that delay be a denial. He was like, oh no, you won't see my talent, right? Okay. So one rejection did not define his future. And then Simone Biles, little short thing, I love her. She faced mental health struggles in public. In public, she had a breakdown right when she was getting ready to compete. Could not do it. Many talk pure junk about her. Oh, she let her team down. She wasn't a team player. What? This girl just had a mental breakdown in the midst of competition. She stepped away to do what? To protect herself. Some of us have to step away from the competition. When you see something being competitive that should not be, and it should be more about compassionate, step away. Come on. Because choosing yourself is not a weakness. Not at all. Let's talk about LeBron James. Now, I wasn't a big fan of LeBron James at first. I'm just tell you that now. But when he became a Laker, I had to embrace him and love him. And I didn't like LeBron at first. But your Lakers, I had to embrace him. But, he grew up in a unstable home and grew up in poverty. He carried an enormous pressure on him at a young age. Some of us know friends like that, read stories like that, where younger kids had to take on the responsibility of their other siblings because of whatever the situation. Parents on drugs, parents, gone, whatever the case may be. Right? Or single mamas having to work 2-3 jobs. Yep. So the big brother just trying to make it, and he got to do what he got to do to help his mama. Things like that happen. Yeah. But your beginnings don't limit your destiny. And I shared that with y'all a while back, like with my mama, what she instilled in me. And I used to always say, I'm I'm going to be better than this. I'm going to have more than this. I'm going to do better than this. I'm going to have more than this. That's what I would tell myself as a young girl. And that's what kept me going. When you look at inventors and leaders and thinkers, for those that are, very smart and intellectual, you think about Albert Einstein. He wasn't coming overnight. He was considered a slow child, a slow learner. Some people call him a retard. He
But
didn't.
we don't use that no more. We don't say that.
Well, I'm saying.
But
well,
some people call him.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not talking. I'm saying.
Not you call him. I know you said people.
Oh yeah, but people
ahead.
call him what? Child, mentally fit, academically challenged. But I'm not calling nobody retarded. I would never do that. But anyway, they consider him to be a slow child, right? He didn't fit in the traditional academic expectations. But I encourage some of y'all. With children. Sorry, I encourage some of y'all with children that may have special learning needs. Don't put them in a box. They are some smart children. Period. And Einstein is that prime example of that. So lesson learned: differences don't mean deficiency, right? So that's me all in a nutshell. I messed up, said that word. Oops, I did not mean no harm, and I'm telling everybody I didn't mean no harm.
We on TikTok, so they be
funny.
So they just gave us one. I was trying to say in a different way. But it's okay.
I didn't know. I wouldn't call nobody that.
I know you would. When they hear certain words, they just do it.
Like,
but anyways, so those were good ones. So now I'm gonna go to some more like relatable examples. What can be young and it's not discriminatory, but just like for the one, most of the time they're not famous. Right. For people who are going through. So sometimes it may be that teenage one that you was talking about, like it may be a teenage mom that got pregnant, right? Or it may be a teenager who got rejected from college. Or the single parent literally restarting life and not knowing where to start, and maybe don't even have a support system starting by themselves. Or the person, right, is rebuilding after addiction. It could be the adult changing careers at 40 years old, because normally people put a stipulation on it. But it could be adults changing a career at a certain age that most wouldn't define as being, deemable or doable at that age. Even for a person being denied benefits, what you're saying, but still surviving.
Right.
And those are ones that, get overlooked sometimes. Or the church member that's overlooked because they don't have a title. Right. Or what's another one? I just don't know. Like the student who may be battling anxiety, right? While trying to succeed at the same time. And that's not easy.
No, it's not.
But yet, purpose still chose them, right? And I've been saying purpose always finds a way to serve. And so if you're a part of the PsycHE community, you'll hear me say that. And I will always say that. Why? Because like she said, we are here to serve. We are supposed to be servants. And when we are servants, we have purpose. That is our purpose here on earth from God. Our purpose is to be of a servant, right? And to do discipleship. And so if we have our purpose and we're supposed to be serving, they come together. When you're serving, you'll find purpose, because our purpose is to serve. And what does that look like in the community here on earth, right? So I will always say purpose has a way, or always find a way to serve. And so just know that God doesn't always justify the prepared, right? But he prepares the qualified. And I had to learn that, and I got that from her. So I'm going to shout out her, because I'm not going to she be having some good quotes. But it definitely means, right? So God doesn't just qualify to prepare. He prepares to qualify. And so that would be my encouragement for today. You got anything else?
And I think that, with this message that we did today, I would just tell everyone again to stay focused on detaching the negative prefixes and look at the base word. Right? Remove the over, remove the under, remove the dis. And what remains is qualified.
Yep.
Remember that. Remove that.
And what does that look like when you qualify?
So I think when I look at qualification from different perspectives, right? It could be you're qualified to heal. Right? Yeah. You're qualified to grow.
Yep.
You don't have to ask anyone permission to grow. Grow. And if you outgrow somebody, move. Qualified to lead. Qualified to lead. Qualified to love again. If you've gotten a divorce or you felt abandoned by somebody that you were about to get married to, and then all of a sudden it just didn't happen, or whatever the case may be, or friends, any type of relationship, be okay to be qualified to love again. Yes, it hurt.
Yeah,
Yes, it
I like
happened.
that.
But qualify yourself to do that again.
Mm-hmm.
And qualify yourself to start over. Some of us will go through
Yeah.
struggles in life and be struggling, barely making it, but you got somewhere you can go to start over. Or you can start over with that relationship ain't working. Start over. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. Yes, it's a little scary. Yes, it's a little fearful. Yes, sometimes people may feel shame, but let me tell you something. There is no shame in it. Why? Because everybody goes through something in life, and everybody needs a helping hand, and everybody needs to be able to feel good in starting over.
Yeah.
I had to start over, y'all. I was in healthcare, and I just had enough, all the layoffs and all the this and that. So I just said, you know what, I want to try something different. And I can tell y'all now, doing that, it was a little scary, but in doing it, I received peace, my peace back. I'm not stressed. I got an awesome boss that's not intimidated by me. He lets me run my shop like I'm supposed to. He doesn't get in my way. He's very supportive. I could go on and on and on. But had I not started over
Mm-hmm.
and not been able to step out that cage and step into a different arena, I would still be stressed, still managing 50 plus people, 250 people at a time, whatever the case may be. It would be that I was too afraid to start over. But because I wasn't, honey, I am living a good life right now.
When you started over,
So,
you not that you didn't know your self worth or what you were worth, but when you started over, you saw and got to see people that will pay you for your
yeah,
worth. With
yeah,
starting over, because you wouldn't have started
yeah.
over, you wouldn't have
Yeah,
gotten back there.
right. Would
So
have been right back to, oh, we're
yeah,
going to start you here, even though you got this experience. And when you come in,
yeah,
we're going to put you on the fast track, blah, blah, blah. I'm telling all y'all
yeah.
now who let people do that. When you sign up for these jobs and they tell you that, make them put it in writing. Because what happens is the person that told you that ends up leaving the company. Now there is null and void. HR is not going to do nothing about it because there's no paperwork that says that. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just telling y'all out there that's still out there in the corporate world, is still out there working for anybody. If they bring you in and they say, well, we can't afford to pay you what you was making, but we can start you here. And what we'll do is put you on fast track so you can know that means we're going to work with you and speed you up to get you where you need to be quickly. Make sure it's in writing so that you don't have to worry about nobody catching amnesia when it comes time for
Mm-hmm.
that or making you start over when it wasn't necessary. And
Mm-hmm.
then next thing is qualify yourself to dream again.
Yeah.
Qualify yourself to dream again. I don't care
Mm-hmm.
how old you are. I don't care how young you are. But I'm speaking to the older ones because sometimes when we get to a certain age, you're like, oh, I'm too old to do that now. You're never too old. If there's
Never.
breath in your body and if
Yeah.
you're willing to do and the Lord gives you strength, there
Yeah.
is nothing impossible. There
Yeah.
is nothing unattainable and there is nothing unreachable if you can
No.
just believe.
Yeah, and just be qualified to become everything you were created to be. We was created to be. Just be qualified and become
Yes.
qualified for everything that you were created to be. It
Yes.
really is sky's the limit. But you
Yes.
gotta tap into it and you gotta know it. And so hopefully we'll help each other again, just growing through what we're going through.
Yeah. And then, the next time somebody try to label you, remember this. The prefix may describe my season, but it does not define my worth.
Period.
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 The
Period.
prefix may describe the season that I'm in, but it will not define my worth.
And them prefixes is the over, the under, and the
Yeah,
dis.
that's it. Does not define your worth.
No, it does not.
Nope.
So we are over, y'all. It's 8:30 now. So thank y'all for tuning in
And
to the
thank you for
PsycHE and Me
staying
community.
in.
Yes, and thank you for staying and engaging. We're gonna go back. I've been trying to look, my eyes been everywhere.
You are chosen by
Yeah.
God, period. That's qualified. Amen. Yep.
Yep.
Glory.
But thank y'all for tuning in to the PsycHE in Me
Yes.
community. So if it's encouraged you, share it with somebody who you may feel, feeling overlooked, rejected, or discouraged right now, right? And just remember, you're not behind, you're not disqualified. As I'm always gonna say and keep saying, you are becoming, right? Keep evolving.
Yeah.
You got anything else you want to say?
I would just say, y'all, until the
Real
next
short.
time, protect your peace,
Yes.
heal intentionally,
Mhm.
and keep growing through what you're going through.
Yes.
You hear that?
Yes.
Yes. And so, peace and love to everybody this evening.
Yes.
And we
love
sorry
y'all.
for going over. We thank y'all for staying. TikTok, I'm gonna get you. But anyway, have a great night, everybody. We love y'all.